Crowds have been low in Walt Disney World for quite some time, and now it feels like certain eateries are starting to feel a pinch of that. Disney World announcing that the Coral Reef restaurant, where you get to dine next to the very fish you're about to eat, will start a seasonal closure in summer of 2026. Let's talk about it today on That Park Place. Vash, have you ever had the pleasure of eating at Coral Reef?
You know, I have not, but I always wanted to, right? Because it's such a famous, infamous restaurant. You see it all the time, and
famous mostly for that episode of Full House where they eat there, and then Jesse and Joey are like in the living seas. It's not good.
Ooh.
They have a very experienced kitchen staff.
Do you have a bit of experience in that arena?
Yes, you consider failure experience.
Pro and I were talking about it recently. It has improved in recent years. About 5 years ago, they did a menu change. Things got better, but before that, man, it was like if you were eating there, you were like, okay, I gotta clear out my night because I'm gonna get sick.
Yeah, I get that. I understand that. It's really, it's quite tough to see such a notable restaurant, at least, from, I don't know, sitcoms past, right? Mm-hmm. It kind of go down in quality like this. Not good.
Yeah, definitely not good at all. But okay, let's go into what this says here. Walt Disney World has quietly added an alert for Coral Reef Restaurant at Epcot, indicating it will temporarily close soon. Here are dates and details. This is, by the way, from Tom Bricker over at Disney Tourist Blog. Go check them out. Here are dates and details, along with our thoughts about whether this is a refurbishment, cost-cutting measure, or both. Start with the basic background, which is what establishes why this is temporary closure is unsurprising in the first place. Last November, Walt Disney World revealed that Coral Reef Restaurant will be reducing its hours and eliminating lunch service starting in January. Prior to that, Coral Reef served lunch from 11:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and dinner from 3:45 to 8:30 p.m. It was an all-day menu, and the restaurant didn't close for the 15 minutes in between. The restaurant now operates only for dinner from 4 to 9. So they changed that. Even with the reduced hours, advanced dining reservations are incredibly easy for Coral Reef. You could get a table today, tomorrow, and every day thereafter for pretty much every single seating. It appears there's no availability for parties of 1 to 2, but that's a common trick of Disney. I'm confident that those tables are available either via walk-up, waitlist, or actually walking up to the podium. Coral Reef Restaurant isn't that busy, even with the ongoing 40% off discount during annual passholder appreciation days, running until July 31st, 2026. Immediately after VI Passholder Summer Days, Coral Reef will participate in DVC Welcome Home Weeks with another 40% off discount through August the 26th, and it'll still be easy to book even then. He's right. Accordingly, the new warning bulletin posted on Coral Reef Restaurant's website is unsurprising. It says Coral Reef Restaurant will temporarily be closed beginning September 8th, 2026, and is expected to reopen later in 2026. A few things worth noting. First, there is no mention of a refurbishment. That is not necessarily conclusive of a cost-cutting seasonal closure, but it is worth noting that other projects of this nature usually include the words refurbishment or refresh. That's true because you want to make people excited for it and not make it seem like it's a bad thing. Turf Club, Yachtsman Steakhouse, Grand Floridian Cafe are the three main restaurant refurbishments at Walt Disney World right now, and all three use the word refurbishment in their official bulletins. Second, there's no end date. There are typically time frames estimated for routine refurbishments, even if they are somewhat vague or simply season. Therefore, the aforementioned trio all have end months. In many cases, those windows are narrowed further with early, mid, or late in the month. By contrast, Walt Disney World simply says sometime in 2026 for Coral Reef. Not only that, but it then adds the expected to wiggle words referring to the reopening, meaning there's not even a guarantee the restaurant will reopen later in 2026. So Bricker says, when you step back and take a look at the totality of the circumstances, it's pretty easy to conclude that this is a seasonal closure for Coral Reef Restaurant as opposed to a routine refurbishment. At least this is the easy conclusion if you're a longtime fan and have experience at Walt Disney World. Yep, absolutely. Historically, Disney has utilized seasonal closures when demand has dropped. We've seen it in places like the Diamond Horseshoe. They were utilized post 9/11 and again during the Great Recession, not to scare newer fans, but some beloved rides and restaurants that are now extinct saw their fates sealed by the seasonal status. It has been the kiss of death for several offerings, including ones at Epcot. But yeah, Vash, what do you think? To me, this seems like Coral Reef might be getting the seasonal closure, the seasonal closure treatment here.
I think so. I think that's exactly what this is. There have been other outlets out there actually who have said just as much, right? It looks like this is moving towards seasonal operation, which is no good. Obviously, this restaurant here opens 1986. Like you said, 1990s. You have it proliferated in travel guides and obviously on TV and so forth. And it's really, really cool to see. And that's why I always kind of, wanted to actually see this for myself. But dining there, might not be the best venture for sure. Now, I think there's a refurbishment back in, 2017, thereabouts right there. I don't know if they modified the menu in that specific refurbishment. Only done about 3 days. But I believe it was last year sometime they were saying that they were going to remove lunch operation effective January 2026 and then move to a dinner-only experience. I think from 4 to 9 or something like that. So this kind of like whittling down constantly of this restaurant in that way, I think it points to they're just not getting the business to pay for necessarily the amount of customers that they have there that have to facilitate its operation and so forth. That might just be something where, like, I don't know, the Odyssey, it just becomes seasonal, right?
So this is a thing where it's like, remember, they still have to have the full kitchen staff, the full wait staff, all the full cleaning staff, everything, and no one's booking this restaurant, especially during slower times. This isn't like, and I think, Vash, a lot of that has to do with because this was once upon a time like one of the classic places to go eat,
right?
Especially after that Full House episode came out. But I remember as a kid watching the Full House episode and being like, I want to eat there. And then I went and ate there in 2009 for the first time. And I was just like, wow, this wasn't good. It made me feel sick to my stomach. The thing, I also feel that it's only really worth it if you're sitting right up against the glass so you can like watch the fish.
Right.
I like to like show my plate and be like, look what I'm eating. And the fish is like, why?
That's terrible, Marvin. Come on now. Yeah,
they eat fish too. Fish eat fish.
I guess judging me. That's a fair point right there. But you're totally right about having to sit against the glass, right? I will say when going over the history of Blue Bayou recently, it's very interesting what they did with like Disneyland Paris's version of that same attraction, right? In which they had like tiered seating so that more people could benefit from the views into the attraction, that being Pirates of the Caribbean over there, Disneyland Paris, formerly at Disneyland, where the inspiration came from. You would have liked to have seen more dining up against the glass right there, but Marvin, to your point, if you don't actually get up against that glass, it's kind of like any other restaurant experience that serves seafood primarily, right?
Right. And I mean, one of the things that I love the most when you're at Coral Reef is a lot of times the sea turtle likes to come hang out around there. So like that's a pretty cool thing to see. Like while you're eating, is the sea turtle. A lot of times the sea turtle will come and he'll hang out like right by this like window over here, and he'll just like take a nap.
That's cool.
Like that's kind of like where he goes to sleep, which I thought was really funny. But yeah, I honestly think that they changed the menu 5 years ago. I don't think the word is out on that. I think that this restaurant got a really bad got a really bad reputation for a long period of time, and now they're kind of reaping that bad reputation. And no matter what they do, people are still going to hear Coral Reef, and it's going to turn their stomach a little bit.
Yeah. I look, you're only as good as your last dish, right? And if you keep serving, mediocre food, well, like you said, Marvin, word gets around right there. They used to have like special stuff like Mickey Mouse, he was in that in that tank as well, right there, saying hi to diners. At least back in the old footage, right there. Might have to be black and white in some cases because it was so long ago. No, I'm joking.
Back when they used to do things to go the extra mile to like make people happy and enjoy their trips. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I really want to pull the clip, the Ron Swanson clip, where he's talking about monetizing the Pawnee parks, and he's just like, like put it a token, go on a swing. Put it a token, look at a duck. I'm like that's 100% where we're going with Disney. But yeah, Coral Reef Restaurant. I mean, I had their new menu. There was nothing really on it that I liked. and I ended up just kind of like, like it was better than it was in the past. I was there like 2 years ago. It was better than it was in the past, but I still didn't really like it. But I know Pro just went recently and said it was great. So
Really?
I don't know. I know some people who it's their favorite restaurant. So, but the problem is, if the food is subpar, it's not like it's priced differently than most of the Disney restaurants. It's priced pretty on par with most of like the World Showcase restaurants and things like that. So if that's the case, I'm going to go to one of the World Showcase restaurants, or honestly, I'd probably have a better meal over at Sunshine Seasons in the Land Pavilion, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump away from it.
It might just be like you so amazingly bring out here right here. It might just be a competitive factor, right? Where you look at the competition around even Epcot itself and you go, oh, there's just some better venues within this park itself. Why necessarily spend the same amount of money or similar on this particular place right here, which, like you said, maybe some mediocre dining, maybe some mediocre views if you don't happen to get, right up against the glass right there. I'm just going to go ahead and go somewhere else.
Well, so here's the thing. You're in Epcot, right? This is the food and beverage park. So to be a table service restaurant in Epcot, especially during a festival season, you have to offer something really, really strong to stand out among the competition, because there's so much quick service you can get. There's so many. And then to be a table service restaurant in the front of Epcot, not in World Showcase, you have to really justify your existence with exceptional service and food, because otherwise people are just going to go tour. They're going to go to Italy, they're going to go to Via Napoli, they're going to go to what's the name of the one in Japan that is like Benihana, Teppanyaki. They're gonna go to Beer Garden. They're gonna go to Le Cellier Steakhouse, which is like the best place in all of Disney property. They're gonna do one of those things because those are exceptional. So, if you really want people to take, and then during the festivals, people are filling up on festival food. So you have to give them a reason to, essentially pull themselves away from festivals. And so if it is closed, Vash, in early September, and if it's closing early September and reopening in 2026, you know what that tells me? They're closing it during Food and Wine. Because Food and Wine starts, I believe, August 27th, and it runs until mid-November. And so if that were the case, it would have it closed down for pretty much all of Food and Wine. And that makes perfect sense to me.
Right, because there's so much excess dining capacity. It's kind of like, do we necessarily need this venue, especially if on that competition factor, which this might be competition in general, just, hey, if people are going to go ahead and take advantage of the other offerings, does it quite make sense to have this open for half, capacity or half occupancy?
The other thing I'll bring up, Vash, also is that, the crowds aren't what they used to be. Like, we still have days that are pretty crowded, especially weekends at Epcot, when you're talking about the festivals. But,
right.
Maybe this is Disney's lower crowd starting to catch up to them a little bit.
It might be. And with these diminishing crowds, it's kind of like, we don't necessarily need every single venue. Now, maybe that changes, right? When some of these bigger expansions for these adjacent parks actually come online, maybe you do have room for dining capacity for a restaurant like this year round. But until that's the case, I can definitely see going to a seasonal operation, which is sad because I think there's a lot of potential in this restaurant. Pro might be a little, I don't mean to call him out, but he might be a little biased, all right? He might be a little nostalgia talking. I don't know.
It's possible. Like it's very possible. But there you go, guys. Coral Reef Restaurant. It might be closing down for a seasonal closure, and that begs the question: when it comes to Epcot, is it going to be the only one?
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.